Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So today, long-awaited day of 5-star class awakening gem crystal from 3 months calendar has arrived, and that basically means pretty much everybody in community that has logged in for past 19 days has a class awakening gem right about now. And obviously that also brings a question: who should you use it on? And this video is made specifically by request of one of my subscribers in a last live stream. And so here we go. First, let's start with science class. And the first champion you should use your Science Awakening gem, in my opinion, is Void, because Void does really rely on unlocking Fear of the Void. Obviously, it's another champion that needs to have as high as possible signature level. But we all know that unduped Void is fairly underwhelming. Duped Void is one of the finest champions in the game currently, can deal with a lot of problems and solve a lot of issues for you. Now, the second champion that I will recommend Science Awakening gem on is Captain America Infinity War. Now, Captain America is another champion that does need, in fact, really high signature level, ideally maxed out to trigger his signature abilities like reliably. There will be many people who say that Captain America Infinity War is a fantastic champion and duped, but I disagree. Without his dupe ability and his utility and ability to kind of fine-tune him for the occasion, I do think that he's not all that great, but duped, he's one of the best champions in the game. And the third one I will recommend from science class will be the Thing. Just because the Thing does really benefit from his signature ability when it comes to you using Thing with suicides, because you can bypass recoil basically, and also makes him one hell of a defender. Another champion, unfortunately, that does need a lot of signature stones in him to actually have full worth and use of his signature ability. Now let's move on to skill class, and the first one definitely is Nick Fury. Nick Fury also is a perfect candidate for skill gem just because he does not need any sig stones in him. He just needs to have at least one signature level in his awakened ability, and then you're pretty much good to go, because the signature ability is the one that gives him the second life that lets you access all that insane damage. So yeah, Nick Fury is by far, in my opinion, the best candidate for skill awakening gem, especially if you don't have a lot of signature stones. Now, moving on, Eggon. Eggon would be another fantastic option for a skill gem, just because he becomes an absolute beast and he is extremely reliant on his awakened ability. The higher the SIG, the better. Obviously, to use him in most of the quests, you will want to have him pretty much close to the max. For Labyrinth of Legends, though, you are fine at like SIG 20, 40, 60, because the difference there isn't that big. You're going to ramp him up regardless. It's just going to take you a couple fights longer. But yeah, Eggon, fantastic option. And the third one will be Blade. Blade still, even though he's lost a lot of his appeal that he maintained for extremely long time, for vast majority of you, Blade will still be a fantastic option to use in clearing Act 5, to deal with different trouble fights in uncollected monthlies. He's still good for Alliance War, he's still good for Alliance Quest. And yeah, Blade is still a fantastic option to use that signature gem on, just so you can access all that regeneration. And another champion I wanted to give a shout out was Killmonger, just because Killmonger becomes so much better with his awakening ability. He becomes better defender. Also, he has access to a lot more damage via his signature ability. So if you do enjoy Killmonger, definitely he's worth the rank awakening gem, and do kind of invest in him. I think Killmonger is kind of like fairly underrated champion in today's meta. And now we're moving on to Mutant class. The first and foremost, it's Omega Red. I think it's the best Mutant champion. Also, he relies on his signature ability greatly to access more damage, and you also want to have him as high sig as possible. Now, there is a bit of a disclaimer here, because I do not think for people who don't run suicides, it's the best call, because he does require suicides to access kind of like his full damage output and for you to be able to see his full worth. And the next champion we're going to be looking at is Neymar. Neymar obviously hides all of his utility in his signature ability, and also you want him to be max sig. That is definitely so. Unfortunately, again, the top two champions you want to awaken are also the ones you want to have max sig on, but Neymar has extremely unique toolkit in being able to reverse all the fun and interactive damage back to the opponent, and that is definitely well worth a signature gemstone. But yeah. And the third champion that definitely does need to be awakened and quite badly is Archangel. Now, Archangel really needs his awakened ability. He does not need a super high signature level. He also does not need super high rank. As you can see, mine is at rank 3. It has been able to do everything I need from him. He's a fairly unique champion with extremely useful abilities and definitely well worth a mutant awakening gem in my opinion, much more than some of the other top mutant champions. Now moving on to cosmic class, and the first candidate is going to be Corvus Glaive, because Corvus, despite what everybody or anybody says, really does need his signature ability. He does not need a high signature level. Even one signature level on his signature ability will do enough, but his signature ability will let you save so many potions, unlocks completely different dimension to Corvus by being able to fight any and all damage over time nodes, and it's just insanely good for AQ. And the second champion would be Captain Marvel movie. She's definitely a great contender for a Cosmic Six Stone, just because that indestructible you gain basically at the beginning of every fight whenever you enter binary is really useful. At max sig level, it's 12 seconds of indestructible combined with the damage Captain Marvel can put out. She can deal with vast majority of the endgame fights within those 12 seconds if you are aggressive enough. So definitely unlocks a lot of dimension to Captain Marvel movie. So now another two champions that can be considered for awakening gems, definitely Medusa. Medusa gains all of his furies, so she does gain a lot of extra damage with the Cosmic Awakening gem. And also that gives you a safety net, a safeguard, because whenever you mess up, if you have 3 furies active, you will kind of like be fairly reliably saved by your auto block, and that is a kind of like extremely useful ability to have. Another champion that definitely does benefit greatly from awakened ability is Hyperion. Now Hyperion is a weird case because his signature scales extremely poorly. There's absolutely no need to invest a lot of signature stones into him, but having him awakened will basically enhance your Hyperion experience, because all your power gain buffs will last longer, your regeneration will last longer and therefore will recover more health. All your furies will stick around longer and you will be able to do more damage. So Hyperion does need his awakened ability, but he does not need a high signature level. Moving on to tech class, first champion that definitely comes to mind is Sentinel, because unduped Sentinel is still a great champion, but when you have him duped and once again at least a Sig 1, and you do not need to max him out, he just does whatever he set out to do a lot faster. He becomes a lot more user-friendly. He doesn't gain any new abilities kind of per se, but it is going to be much quicker to charge him up, get to 100 analysis, and kind of start wrecking your opponents. Second option I would say is Ghost. Ghost does not rely on her signature ability. However, her Sig does make her a lot kind of faster killer, because you're going to be getting a lot more power if you're playing Ghost properly. That means you're going to be spamming a lot more special attacks. That means you're going to be accessing more cruelties. That means you're going to be doing more damage overall, and it's just a fun time having Awakened Ghost opposed to Unawakened one. Third champion I will talk about is going to be Darkhawk. Now, I'm not personally the biggest fan of Darkhawk, however, he does need his signature ability, in my opinion, extremely badly. That kind of adds a lot more damage, a lot more aggression, a lot more utility to Darkhawk. He's also a champion that does need his signature level at a really high kind of level, ideally maxed. And yeah, keep that in mind. If you awaken your Darkhawk, you need to be prepared to max his signature ability out as well. And the fourth champion, and again, many people say that Stark SpiderMan doesn't need his awakened ability to be a great champion. I disagree. First things foremost, I'm not the biggest Stark SpiderMan fan. However, the best thing that this guy has going for him is access to a lot of damage extremely early on in the fight, and his signature ability just enhances it by a lot. So it basically makes the best aspect of Stark Enhanced Spider-Man even better. So definitely he is in consideration for Tech Awakening Gem. Now we're moving on to Mystic class. The first Mystic that definitely needs his awakened ability is Dr. Voodoo. Dr. Voodoo Awakened and Awakened are completely two different kind of beasts. Once he's awakened, you get extra dimensions of this character, much more versatility, and definitely like #1 contender for Mystic Awakening Gem if you are kind of like accepting the fact that you will want to run Mystic Dispersion Mastery and will be prepared to play with these characters. And next we have Magic. Magic can do a lot on Awakened, however her Awakened ability gives you a lot of safety net when you're making mistakes. It also enables you to cover a lot of chip damage, and what's most importantly, Magic has synergies with Warlock and with Morningstar that greatly enhances her damage output once she is in limbo state, and having her Awakened will make sure you are in your limbo a lot more often. Therefore she does really need to be awakened, and ideally as high sig as possible. But when it comes for Mystic class, I'm not going to recommend Mystic Gems for pretty much any other champions currently. There are some champions that obviously people will want to use Mystic Gems on, but what I think is there should be a lot more Mystic champions coming. Now we have Man-Thing confirmed, and we have Clairvoyant just added to the contest, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty more Mystic this year, because if not now, then when? Because Mystic class has been lacking so much lately. And yeah, so if you have a Mystic Awakening gem and if you're not too sure that you want to invest it in your Voodoo or Magic, I'll definitely recommend saving it, because yeah, Man-Thing is coming, Dr. Doom might be Mystic, there will be a bunch other Mystic champions coming this year or early next year for sure. There has to be, right? And yeah, so you might as well save it. But that will about do for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys find it helpful. If you did, hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit all the buttons, and I'm gonna catch you guys soon. See ya.